When is a gravel bike not a gravel bike? Well, maybe when it's this, the brand new Boardman TRVL. An intriguing new bike from a British company which takes their aluminium gravel frame and swaps the drop handlebars for a flat handlebar. So is it now a hardtail mountain bike? Is this the essence of a 90s mountain bike reborn with modern technology? Well, today we'll find out what the bike is all about and how it rides on a range of trails, single track and road surfaces, and see what it's all about. Right, let me show you around the bike before we go for a ride. And firstly, we have a really clean aluminium frame. I love this 90s inspired paint job, but as a 90s kid, it does make me feel a bit old, but really cool, a lot of fun, definitely not a boring black paint job at all. And then we have a SRAM group set with an Apex crankset, 1x, and a GX wide range Eagle cassette, so plenty of gears for the biggest climbs. And the brakes are hydraulic and they are SRAM brakes as well on the wide, sort of fairly swept back handlebar. And we had these nice ergonomic grips as well for more comfort and control. Then up front, of course, we have the RockShox Rudy suspension fork delivering 40mm of travel. And I love this fork. I'm a big fan. But sadly, lots of people don't share the same view as me, and it's not been that popular at all. But I think that's just because people haven't tried it and got over their prejudice against suspension on a gravel bike. Then 45mm wide tyres from Goodyear and a space of 50mm wide tyres as well, so you can go more plump if you want. Right, some likes and dislikes, and I like the geometry. For a gravel bike, it's fairly progressive with a 70-degree head angle. Not as slack as a mountain bike hardtail, but in the right space for the more progressive end of the gravel bike spectrum, and similar to a Mondraker or a Propane and others in that space right now. And then a nice sloping top tube with lots of standover clearance and lots of seat posts extended for hopefully more comfort through the saddle. Nice neat external routing as well. Nice ports there for the cables to go in there. So very nicely done indeed. Lots of mounts as well on the top tube. 3 bolts in the main triangle for bottles to be higher or lower, depending if you have a frame bag. Down tube bolts as well, and even rack mounts as well. So for commuting or touring, you fit an old-fashioned rack there well, and of course you can fit mudguards at the rear, but the fork does make fitting a mudguard a bit trickier. But RockShox do their own sort of little fender that goes on the front, but not a full-length mudguard, so that's a shame. There are a few dislikes. The first one is the bike doesn't come tubeless out of the box. So the first job for me was to whip out the old inner tubes and install some valves and sealant. But hopefully the bike shop you buy it from can do that for you, because I think that's an essential for this type of bike for riding off-road to minimise the risk of a puncture. So a missed opportunity there. It's also quite heavy, 11.4 kilos on my scales for this size medium with no pedals fitted. So no super lightweight bike, but for the price, it's par for the course. Let's go and hit the trail and see how it performs. Okay, let's start this test with some road riding, because I can see the bike being really popular for those who want something for commuting, for riding to college, the office, during the week, but then that gravel bike adventure offering at the weekend. And it feels good so far. The Goodyear tyres roll pretty quickly, they're not that slow or draggy, there's no noise. I've got a nice gear range, big gear range, probably not the massive top end you might want for going really fast, but it's not really a race bike, so not designed for high speed action. Yeah, so for a road bike, feels pretty good so far. But really, the road is just a way to get to the woods and some gravel. So let's do some gravel testing. Nice hard packed trail, quite rocky in places, but it's coping really well. And that RockShox Rudy suspension fork, giving the front end a lot of smoothness and some real nice comfort through the handlebars. And these ergon grips are fantastic too. And now the flat handlebar makes more sense. The fit is nice and upright, quite short as well. Nice sweep to the handlebar. Just feels like you've got more control. Much wider handlebar than any drop handlebar. Well, not any, they're all super wide drop handlebars, but normally they're not super wide. This is a lot wider. Out of saddle, yeah, it feels good. Front end move around quite a bit, quite lively steering, thanks to that wide handlebar. But despite the weight, 11.4 kilos, doesn't feel heavy. I'm not saying it rides light, but that stiff aluminium frame gives a very good power transfer, very responsive, and that sort of hides the weight a bit. And the Goodyear connector tyres are doing well so far. It's wet but not sloppy, quite hard packed right now, and give a nice rolling speed, got nice low pressures for extra comfort. And anytime I review a gravel bike, especially in the last few years as the popularity of this segment has really gone through the roof, I get countless comments about them being nothing more than 90s mountain bikes. And in some ways they are, but in many ways they aren't. Riding this bike on mountain bike trails is probably pushing it a bit far beyond its comfort zone, but it's doing okay. But a modern hardtail mountain bike will have better suspension, more suspension travel too, bigger tyres, more grip and control, better geometry, and a dropper seat post. But all that said, it's coping okay. It's not like you can't get down, you can't survive. It's just you won't be as fast or have as much fun as a mountain bike. But it's not really trying to be a mountain bike. It's something else. You can do a bit of this, but if you predominantly want to ride at mountain bike trails, then, well, yeah, buy a mountain bike. If you make up, 5% of your riding, then this might be a better choice because it does feel speedier on the road and gravel compared to a mountain bike. In my unscientific testing, of course. Despite its drawbacks though, it's still a lot of fun. And I'm still smiling and having a great time. I'm out in the woods, the sun's shining, I'm riding a cool bike. But. And there's one quirk of the bike that's really standing out for me so far, and that's the fit of the bike. Because a gravel bike is designed, the geometry is designed around a drop handlebar. But when you swap to a flat handlebar, the reach and the fit changes massively. And they put a very short stem on with a wide handlebar, which is cool. And I'm riding a size medium. I'm 181 centimeters, and they suggest a medium for my height up to 185. But it does feel very compact and a fit, and almost, dare I say it, cramped compared to a gravel bike. My arms aren't out there, they're sort of here, much more akin to a mountain bike, but perhaps even more compact than a mountain bike, because mountain bikes have gone super long in the reach, give a nice roomy cockpit. So the bike does feel a bit cramped, a bit tight. It's something I can see you getting used to the more you ride it. So I wonder if either a longer stem or a size large would give me a bit more space in the cockpit, in the reach, to make it feel a bit more sort of normal and what I'm used to. So this is a red grade mountain bike trail in the Forest of Dean. Very wet and lots of leaves around today. Let's see how we get on. I don't see people buying this bike probably doing this sort of riding. Occasionally maybe, but if this is the main focus of your riding desire, then a hardtail mountain bike is probably a better choice. You get a lot more suspension travel for a start, and geometry that is better off-road on technical trails. But it's coping pretty well. The tyres are just about gripping in this slippery slop. And the suspension fork, it definitely helps compared to a rigid carbon fork you normally get on a gravel bike. More comfort. Whoa, almost, the back end just stepped out then. This probably is the limits of what you might want to do on this bike. If it's dry and dusty, it might be a different story. And while the fit is short, compact, it does give nice, nimble turning the handlebars really nicely into the corners. very light, fast steering. So I think clearly this bike is most at home on the gravel tracks, the fire roads in between a single track and a road. It's okay on the road to get to the woods, but for blasting around the woods on the gravel tracks and some occasional single track, yeah, it's just fine. What a lovely day to be out. Blue sky, sun's out, freezing cold day, hence my big gloves, but having a great day. The use of mountain bike gears was a great choice. Super wide range and super low, easy gears for the climbs. I'm in my lowest gear right now, spinning away up the far road climb, and it's lovely. Feels really good. And it feels easy, well not easy, it feels accessible. Gearing that makes riding off-road more accessible if you're not a superhuman fit. Some more observations on how the bike rides. I love having the RockShox Rudy suspension fork up front. Gives more comfort through the handlebars, just isolates you from the bumps and shocks from roots and rocks, and gives you more control so you can carry more speed down the technical trails, and even on smooth gravel like this, just smooths out all these rocks here that you can see. But it does highlight how the back end is definitely quite firm. It's not terrible, it's not harsh, but it's definitely firmer than the front, as you would expect. And we do have lots of seat posts extended thanks to the low top tube, but it's an oversized diameter seat post and it's only made from metal. So if I was buying the bike, I would probably swap to a carbon seat post, one of the bendy sort of flexi carbon seat posts, or even a suspension seat post, just to give it more comfort when you are riding rougher trails. And I've always liked this underbiking vibe as well. There's a lot of skills compensation in mountain biking with bigger tyres and slacker geometry and more suspension travel. And that way, this does remind me of a 90s mountain bike because they're pretty sketchy. You have to work your riding skills a lot. You can't just rely on the bike to look after it for you. You can't point and shoot, you have to ride the bike. Way, it's so much fun. Felt really tired bottom out there. So 45 is good for gravel, not so much for mountain biking. Oh, can't see where I'm going now. Right, that was a lot of fun. Found some mud and got my heart rate up. And the bike, I have to say, is a lot of fun. The paint job is fun, the riding is fun, there's a lot to like. But the question of who the bike is for is one I've been rolling around in my head for quite a while now, all morning riding this bike. And it is an interesting one. It's definitely a niche product. I don't think Boardman will sell many for sure, but I do think for people who want a gravel bike for riding sort of tame, smooth gravel, but not racing or doing ultra distance, and aren't doing extreme mountain biking where a hardtail mountain bike is probably better, that sliver of riding between the two extremes is where the bike really excels and where it really shines. But it's a very niche sliver indeed, and lots of people watching the bike will know it's not for them, but there are people out there who the bike will be spot on for. Lots of people I know don't want or like a curly handlebar on a gravel bike, and this is more accessible. Riding a flat handlebar is easier with nice big brake levers and the ergon grips. It's nice, relaxed, comfy fit, quite high at the front as well. And it's definitely better than a 90s mountain bike. As somebody who rode mountain bikes in the 90s and still owns some 90s mountain bikes, this is definitely way better. And does remind me of a 90s mountain bike in terms of, yes, we have better technology now, tyres, brakes, gears, suspension, than a 90s mountain bike. The way mountain biking has progressed, this is not in the same league at all. And modern mountain bikes are amazing, but can make riding tame trails far too easy. Definitely a big skills compensator, but this definitely doesn't compensate. And I like that underbiking vibe, which this bike definitely is. No, it's fairly sketchy on slippery trails. You don't have much grip or much traction to really help you out. So yeah, a lot of fun if you are prepared to ride a bike in that way and be underbiked on purpose. So yeah, definitely a niche product. Like I say, you'll know if it works for you. In some cases, if you're racing or riding fast, aerodynamics matter to you, then a gravel bike with a drop handlebar gives you more positions. And if you're riding technical trails, a mountain bike is better. Anyway, Let me know what you think of this bike. Is it for you? If it's not, drop a comment down below, and you see the full range and the bike on the Boardman website, available at Halfords down below. This video wasn't sponsored by them at all. This is my own unbiased review. They haven't seen the video before it goes live, just to let you know. And if you want to see a review of the regular Boardman, the £2,000 model, that's linked up there in that video. And of course, make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right there. But that's all today. I'm off for another spin. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching.